You settled a case for a C-suite executive at a hedge fund who was fired after reporting quid pro quo harassment by the CEO. What was the company's defense?
The company did not really have a defense in that case. I think the company basically said my client, we stepped in before she resigned. And, the company's defense was that she just had poor performance. Our client was, a C-suite executive. She had years and years in the given industry, and she was very prominent. And, within a few months, I think she started to pick out some interesting things the CEO was doing. I mean, as soon as she was hired, I think he was telling her, her headshot looked great and like he couldn't wait to get it up on the website. And, but it wasn't anything she could pick out immediately. I think it was like, okay, that's weird. And then, the comments started to, gradually become worse and worse. And until it got to the point where, he tried to kiss her, and it is difficult because as an executive, this woman is used to, going to dinner with other executives and, um, you know, it's tough because a lot of times, like in more of like, if it was two men, you would think nothing of going to dinner with the CEO or going to, in this case, they went to a gun range and, talk shop or go golf and talk shop. So, it is just like a difficult line because, our client was, going along with these activities, but, it's tough for a woman, especially, with a CEO who has a tendency to, um, create this abusive power dynamic where, she obviously would go along because that's semi-normal, but then the CEO is really taking advantage of her and um it became full sexual harassment.
So the EEOC rescinded its 2024 harassment guidance earlier this year. What does that actually mean for employees with rights claims right now?
I think that's unfortunate in terms of clients potentially having greater resources, especially before retaining an attorney. I mean, public knowledge like that is invaluable in, for unrepresented parties or, parties who are trying to figure out a recourse if they don't have an attorney or if they're just trying to navigate a difficult situation. I think, public resources like EEOC guidance are invaluable for that. For somebody to see, an authority discussing something. I mean, it's really important for that information to be out there. But the law has not changed and the same laws exist. Um and in practice that doesn't mean a lot because we, especially in New York City, I mean, we live in a haven of you know for favorable and more favorable employment laws. But even under federal law, those laws have not changed.